welcome to the Apocalypse Gym podcast. I'm Justin Klein, and this podcast is designed to bring you people who have fought back at life and are better people because of it. It could be mental, could be physical, could be spiritual battles, but they suffer through them. They have a story, and they want to share that story so that everyone out there, you, the listener, the survivors, can hopefully listen and learn and apply what they have gained through their experience to your life and hopefully make you a better person on the backside. Now, this podcast is brought to you by Drink Armor. Let me move my coffee cup here. Right? They make a bunch of cool weightlifting items that you can get. And if you check out their website, check out our link and use our code down in the show notes below. We get a little bit of that profit, which will go directly to benefiting the podcast and helping us spread the message of all of our survivors out there, and hopefully can make everyone a little bit better. So let's get to the show and our next guest. All right, everybody. Sitting in front of you on your screen is a friend of mine. His name is Matt Thomas. We met through a mutual friend, which many of you met in episode 2. His name was Brian Weber. They are both fellow aviation related people. They both met while we were in El Paso, Texas. And then through randomness, I think Brian invited you on a hike and I was on a hike, and those things became a regular thing and they were a great thing. I think me and Brian talked about those, but Matt's story is one of failure but coming back to the discipline, and he'll get into a story, but like all of us, Matt finds his way. Then life happens and he kind of falls off, but it's only for a little bit, and he finds his way again, and he just never gives up the dream. He always keeps pursuing it, whatever it is. So I think a lot of us have felt that we think we got it going. Something happens, life happens, things are going our way, but eventually we find our way back, and Matt has become an expert at that at this point. So Matt, I'll give it to you. You can kind of tell us, how you fought back and crushed life at this point.
Thanks, man. So I'd say a little bit is I'm kind of spoiled because I've always been naturally athletic, never very big, so that always kept a chip on my shoulder. So I was always trying to show everybody that, oh, you think you're going to crush me? No, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even though I wasn't the biggest, I wasn't the strongest, I wasn't the fastest, that didn't matter. I just kind of played the David role throughout my whole life. That's my superhero. It would be King David from the Bible, and that's how I kind of went about things. But in that process, much like him, I get distracted. Kind of like I was telling you earlier, I have way too many pokers in the fire all the time. And so I am terrible with time management, and I get distracted for periods of time, whether it's tearing apart a house and putting it back together like one room at a time when I tore them all apart at the same time, or the same thing with a car or our bodies. We definitely did quite a bit of working out while we were in El Paso, but it was a random for me where you guys had a disciplined regiment. I was like, all right, let's do this today. Then I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go ruck now, and you guys like, what are you doing, man? We're part of this. So, no, I think I'm gonna go bodybuild today. So that consistency is just not something I've mastered. Motion and activity I definitely have.
Yeah, I don't know. You ever stop. Me and Brian have literally said, I don't know how Matt keeps his life straight because he's doing so many things simultaneously. I don't know how you do it,
and all of them just good enough. but no, it is, and it's good, but it's bad at the same time, because it is frustrating. I remember talking to you not just today, but in the past, about how I'll hit certain peaks and I'll be headed in that direction where I want to go. Like, towards the last few months of our time in El Paso together,
Yeah.
I was out there running with you guys, starting to speed up and catch up for the first time. Then we started, working out harder, and it was a little bit where like Brian was broken and trying to come back, so it gave me a little opportunity to kind of lead and help him out at the same
Yeah.
time. And then I started pushing harder in the gym, and I was hitting highs again. Like I know it's a big difference the way I work out and the way you guys work out a lot of times.
Yeah.
But I want to see numbers um, for strength and stuff. So like for me, it
Right.
was like, oh, cool. I'm bench pressing 300 pounds again, where I was struggling with 225 when I first showed up. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And I had that up and down through it, especially um, once there's a kind of a little break where Brian was hurt and I wasn't necessarily getting out there with you guys like I should have been. Kind of got a little egotistical, I think, with it for a little bit. Was there, personally inside, like, oh, I got this.
Yeah.
So what I've realized is discipline matters, and more than anything. And in my own personal walk of life is, if I'm not disciplining myself physically, I see it affects my spiritual walk with God. And if I'm not doing the things spiritually that I'm supposed to do, those minimum things, and it affects the physical side. Like they're intertwined. They're not separate. They're not compartmentalized in my life
Right.
the way maybe it is for some folks. For me, I can't do that. So if I don't have that regimen of waking up in the morning, getting out of bed at a prearranged time, not when I feel like it, and doing something physical, whether it's a core routine I have, or going for a jog, or just going downstairs and getting on my pull-up bar, and then going into the room with a cup of coffee and reading my Bible afterwards. Then I find my whole day is set off, and it marks a whole chain of events that just is like sets off everything for the rest of the day.
It's like a
And it'll
feeling
put
of guilt.
it absolutely is
Yeah. You're like,
100%,
man, I
dude.
know I should have done that. And like it's almost like you can't move past it mentally. It's like you screwed yourself this morning. Now you hate yourself for the rest of the day. I can totally test that. Like there are days when I get up in the morning and I may not work out as hard as I want, or as long as I should have, and it's just mentally you're all day you're like, you cheated yourself. You
A
cheated
hundred
yourself this
percent.
morning. Yep.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna waste an hour, like we were talking about, waste an hour on Instagram looking at what you or some other friends have done, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, those SOBs, man. Damn, look at them. They're addicted. Let me make an excuse why they're doing well and I'm not. But
Yeah.
it's not the case. It's that even a bad workout's better than no workout, and that's
Absolutely.
and that's what you're doing, and I think that's awesome. And for me, I have to keep those two together, because even if I do one portion of them, like I still, like you said, I have that it's not even a guilt all the time, it's a conviction. Like, hey man, you know what you should have done? What did you do with that time you had?
Yeah.
Because it's one thing when you have a priority and you have to get to that priority. It's a whole different thing when you just wasted that time, checking what the guy has to say about your football team and how they played the night before, when you already carried that disappointment from the day before, which is ridiculous anyway. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's how life works.
Yeah.
So and it feels like chains rather than opportunity, right? I mean, every day we have that opportunity to spend time with God, to spend time with our family, to spend time working out and making ourselves better, healthier, especially with all the things in life that are working against us, to be able to be healthier, right?
Yeah.
Um, and those are opportunities that just get wasted. And it's a conviction for me, like, man, why am I choosing the less over the better? You
Well,
know,
I think it's a lot of we always choose the easy route, and it just happened to me today. As I was sitting there watching TV. I don't know what I was even watching. It was something stupid. As a matter of fact, some stupid comedy show. And my daughter walks up to me and with her flashcards, and she's like, "Daddy, will you do the flashcards with me?" And I was like, "I don't want to do them. I'm watching TV." And for like 20 seconds, I was like, it ate at me like, you just turn your daughter's education and like time you could spend with her down for four knuckleheads on the TV who are literally doing idiocy. And I was like, "Come here, bring me your flashcards." And we went through her flashcards, and like immediately I felt better. But I think where like you're saying, is like we choose the easy over the hard, and if we make that choice for the hard, I think we get that dopamine hit at the end where it's like, yes, you did the right thing, and you're like, yes,
Yeah. And I think you get a longer lasting effect, not just that, but just a return on that investment.
yeah,
So it's choosing the good and immediate satisfaction over the great and long term returns.
right,
Um, and when I think about it, you get knocked down 6 times, do you get up that seventh? Are you staying down? And that's really what it counts. You can't live with that guilt. Let it convict you and move forward and do better. Okay, I'm getting back up. I'm starting a new streak. I was joking with you guys the other day, and I was like, hey, I'm on a roll. 2 days in a row, I got up and did something. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't want you guys to be jealous, but I'm doing big
yeah,
things now. But
yeah,
that is something. It could be like, hey, dude, I've only done 2 days. Come on. I can't get there any faster, and nobody else can, but I sure can be proud of, hey, we've done this many days in a row. And last week, I slept until 6:30, barely showered, and got my kid to school on time or something. I'm like, hey,
yeah,
this is better, and it's freeing. You know what I mean? It absolutely is, and that's kind of where I was going with it earlier. You can't be a slave to that guilt because it'll keep you from achieving things, and you can't be a slave to things either. Kind of like I was telling you, like we I like Jocko. You love Jocko.
yep,
I've used the extreme ownership book in in the military. I've actually used that with when I was first starting with my platoon sergeants as a NCOPD.
'right,
30 days, read this, we'll discuss it, and it definitely had a good influence on me. And the one thing out of that whole book that just sticks with me every day and I think about is discipline is freedom. Discipline is freedom. I want freedom. Everything for me, I want freedom. I don't want to be shackled down. How do I do that? It's through discipline. It just seems backwards, right? Like
yeah,
discipline is every day it's troop, it's doing the same thing, making sure you're on a routine. But it provides you freedom. And I was kind of telling you this in 1 Corinthians 6:12. It says, for all things are lawful for me, but all things are not helpful. All things are lawful, but I will not be enslaved by any. And I think that's just the same thing there is telling you. You can do all these things. You're able to do whatever you want, but that doesn't mean it's going to improve your position or it's going to improve your life or it's going to help you get to where you want to go. You know, it says all things and things they're things when we talk about things are usually not good. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Or they're just temporary enjoyments, whatever they are. When we talk about people and activities, those aren't really things, and those are helpful, and they do bring you somewhere. Take
yeah,
you to where you need to go. And definitely, you're 100% right, dude. My inconsistency, I think, has prevented me from really achieving what I'm possible of, but I'm not dead yet. That's how I look at it. I'm not dead yet. I still got
yeah,
that chance. Like, man, what can I do? What can I be? How can I be used? You talk about your cup says, "Hey, help somebody,"
yeah,
in a very colorful way.
yeah. Colorful would be the word. Yeah,
But yeah, like what can I do? How can I be used if I reach that peak? And I see that with you with this podcast, with your efforts. It's not just you taking off your shirt in the sauna and climbing out looking all cute. No,
yeah,
you're showing people like, hey, remember when I was in, doing the ranger training branch and I was a big boy. Remember that? Well, this is
yeah,
where I'm at today. You can get there, and I hear that message from you. You know what I mean, man? And it's not a arrogant look at me message. It's a hey, here's what can happen. I can do it. You can do it. Reach out, and I think that's a very valuable and it's motivated me. Even a dude who struggles sometimes all the time with humility. I can still look at you and be like, yeah, man, I can do it too. Like I can improve like he does because he's got the heart for it, and
It's
it does mean
crazy
something.
because I look at you and I'm like, man, I could be doing more like Matt does because I feel like sometimes I limit myself um, to whether it's just fitness or just kind of stick with family. But I look at you and I think of the same things. Like, man, Matt's got so much going on. He's so impactful in so many different ways, and I'm like, this guy's killing it. So it's you know just like I've said, and you were saying about me, like your actions, no matter what it is impacting somebody somewhere. You know, I think the most messed up, never mind. I'm not going to say it because it's weird. But
Dude, what do you mean? That's what we do. You know
uh,
what our walking hikes are.
well, I mean, so there was a saying, and it sort of applies here, but it sort of does. But it's like it literally
Yeah,
says like, just remember you're what somebody masturbates to, right? So you're someone's desire, right? And that
yeah,
kind of, and you think about it, is the things that you're doing, whether it's you, because like you're into like real estate, you're really successful in real estate and your Airbnb stuff. I mean, you bought your house and you're renovating this brand new house and you're crushing that. I'm super jealous of that whole situation you got going on. And like you're a fit person. I mean, you may not be the most consistent, but you're always doing it. Like you have highs and lows like everybody. You got so much going on. Your kids are great, your family's great. I mean, your your commitment to like the spiritual wellness is I won't say I'm envious, but like I am. Like I look at you, I'm like, God, Matt's killing it. So like for me, you're an inspiration, and it's and I know there's people out there that, and the message for the people out there is like, you are an inspiration, whoever you are, to someone. As messed up as you think your life is, or as the disaster that you think it is, someone sees all the great things you're doing, and you're who they masturbate to. I guess it's kind of weird in a way, but
even if it's just mentally.
yeah, it was just just slightly undressing your clothes. But yeah, it's just I don't went off on a tangent, but yeah, I mean, like I'm saying, like when I get those messages from people, I get random messages. I probably get one a week, like, "Hey man, I saw what you was doing on social media, and I started, and I was here, and now I'm here." Like that's it makes every effort that I do worth it. I mean, if I got to climb in that freezer one more time, because it's going to change someone's life, then the 3 minutes that I freeze is 100% worth it. And for anybody listening to podcasts, that's why I'm doing this, and I bring people on like you. Is like everyone is helping somebody somehow, even as messed up as we all think we are. Because believe me, like I ain't got to figure it out. Talk to my wife. I'm a hot mess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm. Hey, and we all are. Like, I laid next to my wife last night, but she sure didn't talk to me when we went to sleep. You know what I mean? So we all have our things, and I think
Yeah.
it's funny. Obviously, you, me, and Brian talk every
Yeah.
day throughout the day. You know, and even though we're very different people, I think we all share that drive to be elite. And not, again, not in an arrogant way, but just like, hey, it's not enough just to get by.
Right.
But I think even more importantly, we all share a deep desire to help others and to not be their stumbling blocks.
Right.
You know what I mean? To
Yeah.
not be the reason why they can't succeed, not give other folks an excuse, not to be that stumbling block. And I think that is part of what, besides our messed up senses of humor, is what keeps us close, because those are some important things that we share. We
Yeah.
come at it from different ways for sure. um Obviously a little more than you guys do. I talk a lot about Jesus. I do, and that's something that's important to me, and I feel like that's an area that, oh man, I've got a good base and foundation in this, and if I don't share it, who am I? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
Those
I
who
know
don't want
those
to hear
hikes
it,
that we
that's
were
okay.
on, and you would share some of that stuff. I would bring up something weird about aliens or something, and you would go deep into scripture, I was mind boggled at your knowledge of history and the Bible and how it's all related. And you've made me read more because I was like, oh, well, I need to. How does he know this and I don't? Because I thought I knew the Bible pretty well. And then after you talked, I basically figured out that I was like on the first grade reading level and I needed to elevate my game. So,
Well, I send you some crazy things, some places to look. You're like, I don't. I'm not watching this without my tinfoil hat. I'm sorry, I haven't mailed it to you yet,
yeah,
but
I'm waiting. I'm waiting on my tinfoil hat.
it'll be like a good Boba Fett one, though.
Yeah. Oh, we got to move. Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But kind of bring it back. Like, yeah, man. Like I feel the intensity of not achieving. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't know the word I want to use here, but that inconsistency, it is a hard thing to live with for me. It really is, but it's who I've always been. And it's trying to find a way. I'm 44 years old now. I don't feel that way. Physically, I look at folks who are 44 and I don't think I look like them,
No, absolutely
in
not.
general.
Yeah.
But that drives me crazy myself, like an example this morning, I woke up, I did my core, and I was like, I got a 30-minute run I'm supposed to do, but I'm gonna really dig in and prepare for this, this this podcast because it's important to me. It's
Yeah.
important to me, Justin, my friend. It's important, and I like, man, I'll have plenty of time to go run this afternoon. And then, like I told you, all of a sudden, my sergeant major's calling me back in to take care of an emergency. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, now it's 1900 and we're doing, and it's like, oh, gone it, dude. Had I executed on the front end, and those things drive me crazy about myself, and I know it drives my family crazy because inconsistency is hard on others, not just yourself.
Yeah.
So
Well, it bleeds
it is
over.
something
It
I
bleeds over in your
strive
family.
for.
There are times
Yeah.
where, I might just be in the worst mood ever. And my wife will literally look at me and she's like, go work out. She's like, go ride your bike, go work out. She's like, I don't care. She's like, you're in a shit mood and you need to go work out. And I'll be like, I'm not in a bad mood. Okay, I'm gonna go work out. And it
Yeah.
bleeds over into the family. It's like I'm the same way. Like I started trying to get more sleep because we put the kids to bed 8:30, 9 o'clock. And by the time we go to sleep, I was like, man, I'm gonna sleep till like 5:30. And I was like, I can just do a little bit of workout and then I'll get more out in throughout the day. And guess what happened? I didn't get any of that stuff done during the day. So that's why I'm back to waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning because I can control that time. That window
Yeah.
from 4 to about 6:40 when my kid gets on the bus, my son gets on the bus, that's my time. And no one messes with me then. No one else is awake. So no one's messing with
Yeah.
me. That is my
Yeah.
time to control it. I can do what I need to get done to make the rest of my day successful. And that's one of the reasons people think I'm crazy, but that's the only way that I can do what I know that I need to do to be consistent.
And I agree with you 130,000%. And you talk about it bleeding over, right? I'm going to call it bragging, but my wife one day decided she was going to be a bodybuilder, and within the year, she had earned her OCB pro card for bikini, right?
That's crazy.
And her first competition, she went and won. She took everything, all the cool trophies, and it was awesome, right? And she was preparing for her next. Once COVID hit, shut everything down. So there was no competitions, right?
Yeah.
Life happens, like we talked about. But now she's mentally ready to get back there. And a lot of times, because I don't have my crap together, it slows her down because we do stuff that we're. I know you guys like to go hiking as family and do stuff like that. We go to the gym, and that's my gym partner. I'm her gym partner, and because I don't have my crap together, and she's obviously, we're still getting reacclimated to being together
Right.
since we were geo batch,
Mm-hmm.
and she's also at a new school which is 30 minutes away, and little things like that. But ultimately, it's because my drive's not high enough right now that I'm slowing her down. So I'm like, hey, coffee, huh? We can get some coffee. You know what I'm saying? Like these bad habits bleed over,
Yeah.
and it's slowing her down. So those are things that need to be considered. That in that case, I am that stumbling block because I am keeping her in. And dude, when she laser, laser focuses in, like I can't tempt her with anything. Like, she's a baker. She does a lot of stuff too. You guys have had a little bit of that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, delicious stuff.
she'll she'll taste her food and spit it out. That's how disciplined she is. Like
It's wild.
she won't swallow, she won't eat it. And I'm like, dude, it's just a bite. Nope. I'm on my macros, pop, 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 pop. And
Man,
I'm just like, dude, I don't know
we were
how
back
you're on
home
that.
this weekend with my wife's family, and we were literally having a conversation, and we're like, why is it that every time we're around family, all we do is talk about food? It's like,
Mm.
hey, what do we have for dinner? And then like while we're having, dinner or lunch, we're talking about the next meal. And we're just sitting there talking about like everything. I'm like, we're talking about all this food, and I'm just like sitting there like, I'm so hungry. Just thinking about food. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And me and my wife, I went back to just eating, just meat. So I'm just eating like beef and bone broth. And they're talking about like donuts and
Yeah.
cakes. And I'm like, about to have a relapse. Out the relapse.
Yeah.
Oh, it
Oh,
was
bro,
hard. It
I was
was
bad
so
this
hard.
weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No, I 100. I hear you. Like I have to when I have to move the traps out of the way. I
yeah.
can't have marshmallows for s'mores sitting in the pantry.
Mm-hmm.
When she cooks, like she decorates cakes and stuff. Sometimes, like I'm like, throw away the clippings before I can get to them. Like
Yeah.
just throw them out before I get to them. Get everything out because if it's there, I'm just not that strong with it, man. I wish I were, and it comes back all the way back again to that spirit and body. Like this, the Bible says that this is the temple of God, dude. And how am I treating it? You
Yeah.
know, and I think we really even got to be more cognizant with that because our foods are so processed and so changed. You got to
Yeah.
be careful with what you're putting in and how much of it you're consuming.
Yeah.
So to stay healthy, because you think you're eating the right things, and you go look at the box, and it's like all these words you can't even
Yeah.
pronounce. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We
I
were
was
just
looking
talking
at
about that
coffee
today.
creamer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's wild. It's we're killing ourselves with the food we manufacture. Like it's sad that I can go get some terrible burger from whatever joint for $1 or so, but you try to go eat somewhere healthy and it's like, oh man, salad with a chicken breast is like $9. It's like
yeah.
no wonder America's unhealthy. It's like it's a financial thing. Like I don't know why it's so expensive to eat healthy, but it is.
You try to get a salad from Panera, bro? Like, good
Wow.
gosh, dude, I like mortgaging.
Have you looked at the ingredients in those? Panera is
No.
not as good as you think it is.
Well,
I would say
my
it's
son's
probably
working
better than
there,
Mc.
so he's bringing me home stuff.
Oh well, it's free. It's okay. Well, so we went. And ironically, we went there the other day, and it was near my birthday. It was right before I went back to El Paso for a couple weeks, and the lady's like, "Oh, it's your birthday." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, you get a free cookie," and came out with this giant like
Yeah.
salted caramel chocolate chip cookie. I'm like, oh, you're a Satan woman putting that in front of me.
I
Like,
know you crushed it.
I
I know you
didn't. I
crushed
actually
it.
didn't eat it. I didn't eat it.
No.
No, I didn't eat it. I gave it to the kids. I'm trying to eat healthy. And I think I sent like, even with like the Huberman Labs, podcast about alcohol, after listening
Mm,
to that podcast and like how alcohol is literally just an absolute poison for your body. I was like, man, like I don't,
hmm
as much as I like beer and I like whiskey and bourbon, I was like, I don't know that that's something I want to do to
Yeah.
myself anymore.
Yeah, I saw something about that the other day too, talking about how much it slows down your ability to burn fat
Yeah,
once it's in your system and it takes X amount of time to leave your system. So like your metabolism basically is like shut down to a
yeah,
certain degree with it.
yeah,
So especially we get older, like that's something most people are fighting already.
yeah,
So yeah, again, it's that we talk about that discipline, those
yeah,
habits.
yeah.
It's not bad, but
No,
is it good for you? Is it
yeah,
helping you?
yeah. So
Nothing
I
legal
will
about it.
say for a long time, one of those really thick rubber bands, right? I don't know. I guess if you were airborne, be a retainer band, right? A big old thick fat rubber band, and I put it around my wrist. And every time that I went to reach for something like unhealthy, I would literally snap that thing and just inflict like the worst rubber band snap on your skin. And I was trying to do like Pavlov's dog, like donut
Yeah,
bad. I was trying to ingrain that
yeah.
myself. And after a while, I just had welts on my wrist and I'd gained 5 pounds because I still ate the donuts. But I attempted to
It's not
train
how
myself.
MK Ultra works,
That
Justin.
was
You
not
can't
how that
MK Ultra
went.
yourself.
No, I was starting to salivate when I heard the bells ding or something. But yeah, like you're absolutely right. It's the discipline that it, the discipline is what gives us the freedom, like you said. Even if it comes to like if you talk about work, like if you go to work and you have a task and you don't do it, what happens? It eats at you the rest of the day. When you leave work, you're like, I still got blank meeting, or I still got whatever going on, and you kind of you know it. You didn't give yourself that freedom by exercising the discipline. So I think you're absolutely right that discipline equals freedom. And as a matter of fact, if you
Well,
look
I
on my
stole that.
screen in the lower right hand corner, that little flag, the little X flag looking thing, that's actually Jocko's flag, his discipline equals freedom flag.
You're gonna have to tag him on here just for that part because you're gonna be like, man, these guys are crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they'll think we're both weird. But as with episode one, Zoom just gave me a warning that my non-paid membership is running out of time. So I think we'll wrap it up here. Um, I'll give you last thoughts before we kind of send it off.
Well, one last thought is that we need to create a GoFundMe account for you to fund your permanent podcast.
Yeah, well, hey, that's what Drink Armor, right? So they sent me this Drink Armor coaster thing. They sent it for free, right? And there's a link and there's a code, and I get a percentage of the sales on that link. So that's why I'm going to help fund this podcast. Um, so if you're listening, buy some sweet coasters. It comes, I think they're 3D printed, which they're pretty cool. It comes with a barbell that you can put
That's cool.
with your coasters on. It's like a weight rack, right? So you can do, not just the 12-ounce curls. You can do, coaster curls with your fingers. I don't know. It's really, it's cool. I like them. They're funny. I got to keep them for my daughter because she tries to have her Barbie dolls work out. It's really weird.
She's on the
Barbie,
right track.
Barbie in a bikini working out with barbells. I don't know. Maybe it's the next Instagram hit. Um,
So I'd say like my final thoughts is something that I actually my pastor's doing a series on it right now, but it's small changes.
mhm.
So yeah, so big changes come from big results come from small changes in your life. But like for me, if I'll get up at 4:30 in the morning and I'll drink a gallon of water through the day, that will change everything. Why? Because at 4:30, if I'm up, I have to do something. So I'm not just going to sit here and do nothing.
Right.
And if I lay in bed, what's going to happen? I'm going to fall asleep again. So I get up at 4:30, I do something, which leads to other things. If I drink a gallon of water, if that's what I have to do, I know I'll go to the gym because I don't even notice when I'm drinking it. It's just going down, right?
Yep.
And plus, I'm peeing all doggone day, so I know there's a purpose. I got a whole purpose here, and I'm staying hydrated. I'm more awake. I'm less tired. I'm sleeping better. All these second and third order effects, but they're little things, right?
Yep.
So, and those, I sent this to you the other day, and Brian, but it was the small changes nobody sees are the big results that everybody wants,
Yep.
and so that's kind of where I'm going personally right now is okay, these small changes, what are little things I can do because I can't get to running a marathon tomorrow. I'm sorry, I'm I'm not David Goggins. I'm not trying to break my feet and go through all
Yeah.
that. I hey, I'm looking at grandpa time here in the next five
Yeah.
years. So those small things are
Yeah.
going to turn into big things.
Yeah. I mean, you're exactly right. I don't know if you follow the Tour de France at all. But Team Sky, I can't remember what it was. They actually came up with the rule of 1%. And they knew that, when you're at that elite level, there is no huge jump, right? So they were looking for 1% improvements in everything. Like they
Yeah.
were testing pillows to find out which pillow gave them maybe a 1% better sleep at night so they could perform better the next day. They were looking
Mhm.
at, everything in their life, from the food to the pillows to the blankets. It was all about the 1%. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Like, it doesn't have to be, one big 25% or 30% change, right? If you can find 5 or 6 1% changes, that's 6%. Even if you improve yourself 1% a day or 1% a week, right? Well, that's 52% a year. Like, that's a huge change. So I think you're right. I think small changes add up to those big results because it takes time. It just takes time. It's just what it is. Nothing's instantaneous besides Instagram. Um, and it just takes time to get
Filters.
there. Yeah, filters. Love. Thank you. Oh man, why do you think I look so good? I spray paint my abs
Dude,
on with an app.
I,
Those
I was
those
just
aren't
thinking
real.
you
I
look
spray paint
super
them on.
cool right now.
Yeah.
Like your whole little setup there, like with the black behind you and the color, you look like you're in black.
That's
You
a
look pretty
bed
damn cool,
sheet.
dude.
It's a bed sheet. I bought a bed sheet at Walmart. Yep, that's
Well,
what that
good thing
is.
there's no stains on it. Okay.
Oh, it was brand new, brand new. Yeah, if that was the one for my bedroom, no, I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, anyway, so again, it's yelling at me. Matt, thank you so much for coming on and talking about the things that you've done, been the inspiration that you are to myself personally, and I know you're an inspiration to Brian. He'll probably deny it, Brian. But thank you for coming on, and we'll look for you on social media to keep crushing it out there. And again, if you're not staying consistent, we're going to call you out. If you're on this podcast and you click his link, if you see a day that Matt doesn't work out, feel free to berate him. I do personally daily. So it should be a good time.
Do it. Hey,
Anyway,
man, I appreciate it, dude. I really do. Thank you for the opportunity.
no, it's awesome, man. So that's it for us tonight. It's a late one tonight. I'll probably process this and get it up tomorrow morning. So, Matt, again, thank you. And for all you out there, because I always say it, go to the gym.